Everyone that's turned up here today cares about safety. They care about working in a safe environment. And as Amanda said, everyone has the right to go to work and come home safely. But unfortunately, we've got a federal and state governments that are trying to take us to the lowest common denominator. They're proposing new workplace laws rather than lifting the standards up or lowering the standards. What that means for all workers, whether you're in the construction industry or not, is that your rights, your protections, your entitlements are all disappeared. And that's something that we cannot accept. Are you prepared to accept it or not? No! You would have seen a recent media statement from the federal government, which was called the Council of Australian Governments, or COAG, which is the federal and state governments together. They were out there promising to the Australian public that a harmonised occupational health and safety laws would see, and I'll use their words, no reduction or compromise in standards for legitimate safety concerns. Therefore, what I argue is that Rudd and Gillard and Bligh have not honoured their commitment to Australian workers. Unfortunately not. I want to go through some of the reasons why we need to maintain the standards that we have. And there's four major reasons that I just want to take the forum here today through why we need to fight and campaign hard to get the best possible outcome. First of all is that people don't realise that more people die at the workplace or through workplace illnesses or accidents every year. We have over 7,000 people that die. It's not figures that the union plucks out of the air. It's the cold, hard reality of the statistics of the Australian Bureau of Studies, or the ABS, that shows how many people die at the workplace. And to actually reduce those standards in safety is just not on, because more and more workers every year have been dying. It's just unacceptable, and it's a shame on both the federal and state governments for doing that. Also, secondly, is that when we have tough economic times, which we're all in at the moment, is that one of the first things employers like to do is they like to cut costs on safety. And as history has shown with the ABS figures also, is that when you have tough economic times, you have more deaths and you have more accidents. So again, I run the argument that this is not the time to actually reduce standards, it's the actual time to bolster them. Thirdly, a lot of people have actually asked me, how does it actually affect us? So whilst you're talking about harmonisation, you've got one common law, it makes common sense to employers, etc. How does it actually affect the individual worker and their family? Well, in Queensland, there's a whole raft of changes which will see the standards drop. But there's probably 5 or 6, I believe, that really have an effect on all workers alike, especially a lot of them, unfortunately, the construction union industry is copying in the neck. For example, and I'll go through in no particular order, I won't get into too much detail. The first one is about the principal contractors legislation being watered down. For a lot of people in the industry, we have contracting nature, whether you're transport, security, construction, is that the principal contractor takes responsibility for your safety on the site. They've got a duty of care and they can't be negligent in their duty. By accepting the national standard is that you won't have a clue who's responsible for safety at the workplace. So if people are ill or injured or you have a negligent employer, is the only way you're going to get justice is spend tens of thousands of dollars trying to get justice. And we can't have that. We need someone to take responsibility in that regard. Also, Queensland's always had a system of onus of proof where the employer has to prove they're not negligent. Whilst this might not sound much, for a lot of workers that have suffered workplace deaths or major accidents or illness, it's a way of people getting remedy through the courts. You do the reverse onus, a lot of employers will actually get away with it, and you don't have strong compliance regime. It has a major effect for workers and their families because you don't get justice for people who are ill and injured. The other one is about rights of worker representation. Queensland's pretty good at that. And when I mean workers' representation, I just don't mean people like myself and union officials. I'm talking about workers. In Queensland, you have health and safety reps, you have workplace health and safety officers, you have the freedom to decide who's going to be your rep in respect to health and safety. A bit of the blame game here, and you'll probably see it on the media tonight, Bligh saying that you can't do much because it's a federal government issue. Bullshit. Is that if she wants to maintain the standards, she can keep the state laws in place, she can tell the federal government to get rooted on the issue, is that we need to make sure that we don't have, and I'll be honest with you, we can't risk second-rate health and safety. So when we go down there, make yourself loud and clear like you normally do, just on the basis of making sure that not just that you're angry with what's been proposed, but you're sending a clear message that whilst you might go down there and march and you make a lot of noise in front of the state parliament, tell them that you want your rights protected, you want your entitlements and everything else with health and safety maintained, but to say this is the start of the campaign. For when we leave here today, after the rally, talk to your family and friends, talk to your other workmates, tell them what Rudd and Gillard are proposing, tell them what the state government's also not prepared to do to actually agree to reduce health and safeties. Get out there and campaign, because we've got an opportunity. There's a small window, but if we don't take that opportunity, I don't want to see workers in this country have substandard health and safety. We've had too many deaths in recent times. Let's keep the fight on. Keep going, boys.
Thanks, boys. Have we got the Bovis Lend-Lease lads here today? Where are you, fellas? Can you let them all know who you are? Good on you, boys. The boys at Bovis Lend-Lease today have exercised their democratic right to sit down, not over the job collapsing, not over the excavations not being protected, not about toxic fumes or hazardous substances running through their job. The boys have sat down today for the minimum requirements of the Workplace Health and Safety Act and the regulations. Those workers sat down today because the builder, the world's biggest job in Queensland, in Brisbane at the moment, couldn't provide the minimum requirements for amenities and lunch sheds for those workers. Under the proposed harmonisation legislation, where you've got the employer that has the ability to opt out of the onus of proof, what sort of pressure is going to be posed upon those type of recalcitrants to deliver simple outcomes to building workers here in Queensland? How do you think they'll go? That's right, dead right. I want to talk about and congratulate Michael on his speech, because it was very well spoken. I want to speak about in April of this year, where we sat in this park, we mourned the death of 22 construction workers in Queensland, and that dreadful statistic of 1 a week. Next week, there'll be some family around this rotten nation sitting down at the kitchen table without their spouse. What I'm speaking about today, we talk about all the things that they propose that will be introduced. I don't think there should be any negotiations whatsoever. The building workers in Queensland have a mandate to ask for the highest level of occupational health and safety laws in the land, because we're sick of being killed. Andrew Ramsey will move the resolution presently. Andrew and myself sat on a committee for the past 13 months to develop the best code of practice for swinging stage safety in the nation, if not nationally. That process took 13 months. This consultation from April, 4 months. 4 months to look at all the legislation and all the land. All the land, and come out with the best outcome for building workers. We all know what happens when we rush this type of nonsense. They end up not getting the best outcomes, and the best outcome for workers should be paramount. We talked about Arc Tribe there today, down there in South Australia. And if you all want to go to the Workers' Rights website and click on there, you can have a look at that building site and see for yourself the type of atrocities that face those workers on every day. Those lads exercise the democratic right, remove themselves from that place, and the dirty rotten task force come to get them. Now he's got to face the potential of 6 months in jail for exercising democratic right. That's bullshit. The industrial relations laws are locking us up. The safety laws aren't good enough, and they're killing us. And I said they could get rooted to both of them. Congratulations for turning up today, boys.
I move the motion. We got a seconder for that? All those in favour? Yo ho, you beauty. Thanks, man.